Hello, everyone. It's episode six. It's episode six. Hello, Ali. I'm sure that is Beverly. I'm sure that's you. I'm going to bring you up in a few minutes. I'm just going to turn my music off. Let me see if I can get it off. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. Guess what? It is episode six of Mom's Word. Just to break background, Mom's Word is a session I have once a month where I talk to mothers of teenagers or moms who've had teenagers, and we come and we talk about the things that have happened, how we walk through the challenges of bringing up a teenager. And it's been amazing. Like I said, this is the sixth episode, and I've been talking to some amazing moms. We've been talking about different kinds of things, the ways in which we see our teenagers manifest and how we've dealt with them as parents, as moms. Let me say moms, although some dads have come on the session as well. And this is normally following on the back of something I do every 2 Tuesdays, which is Young and Strong, where we talk to the young adults and find out what it's like to be a young adult, during this time. And normally we talk about relationship with parents and all that. So I come to the other side and I come and I ask the moms, and I'm like, okay, now moms, what is your own idea? What is it like to be a mom to a teenager? What are the kind of things that you go through? What are the kinds of things we share? And it's always amazing to get the two views, of the two sides of the coin and all that. And I am just the facilitator. I'm the one who gets to enjoy what everybody gets to talk about. And of course, today I've got another special woman joining us today, and I'm just going to bring her up. I'm going to bring my one, and I'm sure we're in for an amazing time. Yes, I'm confident. And there you are.
Hello.
Hello, Beverly. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Good. Is it my volume or yours? Let me see if I can turn up my volume a little bit and see if I can. Yes. Can you hear me clearly?
I can, very clear.
Okay, I can hear you as well.
Good.
So I've got you on Instagram.
Yes, you have.
Thanks. And I'm going to say thanks to Ali for letting you to join, letting us come on her platform and as well. Like I was sharing earlier, this is a platform I have where I talk to moms. Normally every two Tuesdays, I talk to the young adults. And we get to talk about what it's like being a young person during these times. What are the kind of challenges they have? What are the kind of ways they deal with things? What are the kind of relationships they have? And of course, one of my favorite people has been Ira. I'm sure you heard about that one.
Yes.
You have. So I thought, okay, if I got Ira, who am I supposed to get on next? Who else but you?
Wow. It's an honor.
Yes, and because I've seen you work with your teams, I thought honestly, I've got to get Beverly on here. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here. I'm sure we're going to have a lovely conversation. It's going to be quite organic. It normally takes a life of its own because I found out that every mom is different. So while we might think, okay, these are the questions I might ask as we go along, it just takes a life of its own. And I know you've got a lot of stuff to share with us anyway. So I know you do. Beverly, I know you.
Yes.
I know you do. Okay, so before we go on, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, who is Beverly Jackson?
Well, first of all, I'll say thank you very much for giving me the honor to be a part of your Mum's Word. Really appreciate it. And, don't take it for granted that you've done that and put me on your platform. So who is Beverly Jackson? Beverly Jackson is the fifth child of 6 children to Methuselah and Justina Cooper. Born in and raised in Derby. That's in the Midlands. Yeah, born and raised in the Midlands. and came to live in Kent in 1995.
Right.
I've been married to Ira for nearly 30 years. It'll be 30 years at the end of July. Sorry, at the end of
Okay.
August. At the end of August, it'll be 30 years that we've been married.
Amazing.
I've had the honour and privilege to have 4 children, to actually birth 4 children. I've worked in local government for over 30 years, a member of KICC. I've helped a founder of a woman to women's ministries help her background set up her ministry, and I love just helping people do and get to their dreams and their destiny, what they want to achieve. So I think that's me in a nutshell.
Amazing. I mean, I don't know whether to be in awe or to be intimidated by you.
I wouldn't be intimidated.
Oh, amazing. And congratulations in advance to you. And I call him the general anyway.
Yeah.
30 years is amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you for sharing with us and welcoming everyone. Thank you, Amira. Thank you, Aunty. Thank you, Tony Banwo. Thank you for all those who are joining us. This is Beverly Jackson. This is a wonderful, wonderful woman. I know she's an amazing mom. So we're in for an amazing time today. So, Beverly, you've had kids and you've brought them through the teenage years. What has it been like being a mom to teens? I know they're grown up now, relatively. But what was it like? Because I saw you through those times. I saw you doing quite a lot. What has it been like bringing up, these amazing young people during those teenage years?
It's been very interesting, and I think as you grow older and as you get on in life, you actually become a lot more mature and have more understanding and knowledge of how to bring them up. So of course, if you've got big age gaps, you've done your learning along the way. So the youngest is obviously Mia, who's 20. Ira Junior is 24. Alanda's 30 at the end of the year, and the oldest one is nearly 38 now. So there's such a wide.
Oh wow!
There is such a wide range, and of course in life you do learn, and it is important that we all learn from everything that we do. And even if it's a positive, you can always look back and say, is there anything that I could do better with the positive? But we never tend to look at the positive side of things. We tend to also always think, oh, this is a negative. What can I do better? What did I do well? And that sort of thing. But I think we should actually look at both sides. That even if you are doing really well, that we should also see what different things we could look at changing or doing better or differently. So bringing up the children. Obviously, you're not bringing up the children on your own. You're bringing them up with your husband, and you have to actually set clear values, goals for the family, really, and then try and adhere to that or follow that. And it's not always easy, because as mums, of course, we sometimes have a bit of a tender heart and don't like some of the things that we should do, but we know it's the right thing that you have to do, basically. So it's important that you actually have values that you follow, that you have goals and visions. And it's also important to know that each child is actually different.
Okay.
So they're not the same.
So your 4 kids were all different.
They are all different. Yes, they have some possible generic things, but I think just as we all know that the Bible tells us we're uniquely and wonderfully made. So therefore, the children will be uniquely and wonderfully made. So that means that the first child or the second child, you may not use the same skills and tools and methods for the third and the fourth, because number one, you've grown, and learn new ways of dealing with things. But also, they're all different. They're not the same.
Ah, so is that something? And I mean, I'm looking at the age gaps between
Yes.
them. So did you have to quit? Well, I don't want to call it tweak. Did you have to keep tweaking your methods every time, you were dealing with another child? Maybe when the first one was 13, the way you dealt with him as a 13-year-old wasn't the way you dealt with the second one as a 13-year-old. Did you have to keep changing methods around?
I think in life in general takes on a different trajectory, and so when you're dealing with a child in like 1990s as a
Yes.
teenager, it's not the same as dealing with a child in this 21st century, because there's so
Ah,
much more that they're open to. Look, if you look at schools now, what schools are trying to teach the children on sex and all these different things, it's so different. Back in the day, you never did
yes.
that. You never got taught things like that. So you're actually dealing with a constantly revolving world, and
Yes.
children, because they come with different knowledge, they go into different environments, and they experience different things as well.
Right.
So it is quite interesting, and I think as parents, you've got to be flexible and adaptable
Yes.
to the situations, and I'm going to keep saying this, and to learn, to always be learning how to do
Right.
things better or differently.
So did you, I know, and I think it's amazing. I mean, the fact that you're talking, I know quite a lot of moms who are going to come on here didn't kind of like do the 90s bit, but did you have to learn the things of the period? For example, now, I mean, they know I keep talking about it on the platforms a lot of time. The language is even different.
Yes, it
The
is.
fashion is different. The music is different, you know. So did you ever have to kind of like get into what are they on about at this point in time? Or were you just like, look, I'm the mom here. I don't really need to get into your world.
I think as moms and parents, we have to have an understanding of the world that our children are in. So we
Right.
need to have some sort of understanding so that we can then better equip them
Okay.
to maneuver in that world, but also to give ourselves knowledge and understanding of some of the words that you're hearing, that or the text or the WhatsApp. Remember, we back in the day we used to use notepad and pens and write letters, and on
Why
the
did they
phone
change all
I
that?
remember going to the post to the around the corner to the phone box to phone, not have a mobile phone, or not be speaking to somebody live on
Come
Instagram.
on.
Come on, look at where we are.
Oh,
The
Beverly,
world's
we're old
evolving.
school. We're so old school.
Well, we are old school, and the whole school. Some of the whole school stuff is really good.
Yeah, yeah.
So don't let us throw. Sometimes you throw the baby away with the bathwater.
Oh, I'm holding this
Let,
baby.
let us not do that. Some of the old school, basic principles are still valid.
Of course.
But there are some things that we can learn to better manage our households and our children and our lives ourselves.
Of course, of course. I'm just going to say hello to a couple of people that have joined us. Val is a wonderful young man who always joins us. I see Ira Jackson Jr. Hello, one of my favorite people. Hello, Fikayo. My sister's joined us, Boppo, all the way from Canada.
Wow.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is my wonderful, wonderful guest, Beverly Jackson. And yeah, we're going to learn quite a lot from her. She's just going to give it to us straight, both the old school, the new school, and every possible school. We're in. I'll keep going. Hello, Yomi. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be an interesting time. So we need to kind of like understand their world. Don't you say, well,
I
that's
think
just for
so.
the young people.
Yes, we need
Um,
knowledge. The
yeah.
Bible in Proverbs talks to us about having the knowledge, the understanding, wisdom in everything that we do. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes that if we step away from gaining the knowledge, the information that we need, getting revelation, we're not able to apply things. We're not able to apply things in the right way, you know. And if we're stuck on the way we were brought up, if we brought up our children the way we were brought up, half of us wouldn't have them. They'd be in social services care, wouldn't they? Because of the, you know, back in the day, I think we're all aware the hose pipes and all the things that you were used to discipline us.
Yes.
And actually, yeah, we're all still here, and it didn't do us any harm. But actually, for some people, it may well have done harm. You know, so those are some of the things that, you know, we have to adjust, and especially for those of us that worked in the professional industry, those sorts of things would be, you know, you'd be warring against what you're being taught about safeguarding and all of those things, but that's how we were brought up, so this must be right. But no, you've got to learn and adapt as you go along.
Of course. Thank you for bringing back those memories. You're absolutely right. We can't do it the way we were taught, and I think sometimes it's very difficult for us as moms. Hi, Shaya. Thank you. That's Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, sometimes it's a bit difficult to get ourselves out of that mindset, because it kind of worked for us, you know, but it kind of worked for us. I mean, you and I are not doing too badly,
no,
you know.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No,
We know how to respect.
Yeah,
You know how to be respectful, and how to, you know, when mum speaks, mum and dad spoke, you were upright. If they said you were silent, you were silent. You know, in this day and age, I think it's a different way of working with the children and developing in the families, really. So it's very interesting.
It is interesting. Thanks. That's my friend all the way from the States. Shodro, thank you for joining us. I've known BC since we were about 10 years old. It's always nice to see her every time. So that brings me to, you know, when we're talking about the fact that there's a difference between how we were brought up and what's happening now. And then when they talk to us, and I know a lot of moms have come and said, when our parents talk to us, you'd be like, okay, you know, but now it's like the kids ask us why.
Yes.
You know, you say something, they say why. I recall one young person told me, Auntie, yes, parents should tell us why. Do you think they should tell us, we should tell them why we're asking them to do stuff?
I think it's not about just asking them to do things. It's about when parents are saying something and the child is trying to question and say, well, why? Back in the day, we were taught, well, why is a crooked letter? Well, that's not really an answer, is it? Yeah. So I think if you give the child an explanation, information, remember, goes a long way. So if you don't give the child the information and reasoning as to why you're asking them to do what you do, or they can't do what they want to do, they will continually have that query in their mind about what you're asking them to do. So if you actually give them a reason why, I think then they've got the understanding. You've given them information, you've revealed to them what the reason is, and so then they can apply it with freedom because they know what they're doing.
Okay, so you think we should tell them why? We can't do the because I said so.
Because I said so, but because I said so, I think is probably old school, isn't it? It's old
There we go.
It is probably old school, and it's because I'm your parent, I'm your mother, I'm your father. You must do this. I think the next step is to say this, and this is the reason why.
So it's still the why.
That's where I'm coming from. I'm not saying they should question what you're saying to them. What I'm saying is, in order for them to understand and to do, you need to give them the information so that they can apply. They can apply, and they understand why they're applying.
Why they're doing that. Okay, I'm just going to say hello to a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine. I've known her from long time. Larry, thank you so much for joining us. It's been over 15 plus years since I've seen her. Thank you so much for being here, Larry. Lovely to see you. Thanks. I know you've joined a few times. So that brings me to the question. Yeah. Like Amira says, learning takes place when we have knowledge and wisdom. It's a learning opportunity, which is true. And I think it's important to say why. We don't feel like saying why most of the time because we kind of know why, but do I really have to tell you? So you're right. But that now brings me to that question, and I think it's one that I've really always wanted to ask you, you know, when we want what's best for our children, right?
Yes.
But sometimes it's interpreted as demands. It's like, I really want you to do this, but it sounds like we're demanding because we kind of like know what will work, or usually we think we know what will work. So how can we handle it better where we know what is good for you, but to the child is like, I mean, let me find my own path. Let me do my own thing. How can we balance that?
And I think obviously when you're dealing with children at different ages, you will apply differently according to actually, I shouldn't even say age, because just because someone is 13 doesn't mean they're any different to a 10-year-old who actually could apply better, understand and apply better. So it's not necessarily age, and I know people talk about it's not your age, it's your stage. It's about us setting clearly, we are a family or children of excellence, and these are the criterias and the this is what we ask of you. So it's about, again, you know when we're in the professional industry, you've got a vision, you've got your core values, you've got your goals. Why can't we have them with our family and our children?
All right. Okay.
So you've got a vision for the family. You've got clear values, because values are critical in families. That you have your values and you stick by them, and everybody knows what they are. So then it's almost like you've got these boundaries, which boundaries are very important for children and for adults as well, really. So everybody knows exactly where they're going because it's clear. And individually, for each individual child, you set out what journey you think the individual child is going to be on.
Really?
You can do that, yes. So this is now the 30-odd years plus mother speaking, not the one.
Now I want to hear that. I want to.
It's not that one, because
you've got to talk from experience. You got to tell us, how did you do that?
So from experience, I think we need to be clear, and we as mums, you usually recognise the gifts and the talents that your children have very early.
All right.
And what I'm suggesting to mums, parents, that actually you can see that child at that young age with the leadership qualities. You need to actually guide them and lead them in the way that leadership will let them flow in their gifts and abilities. You can see them clearly. If a child is very much into music and they love singing, they're singing all the time, why are you then sending them to go and do a chemistry degree? Or actually what you should be looking to do is, especially if they're Christians, you've got a relationship with God as an individual. You speak to God and ask God where He is taking you. Which direction is God leading you in? as an individual. Because it's all right, I can go and say, for example, Mia, forensic scientist. Forensic science is what she loves. She loved it. She loves chemistry, right? But if you say but also the gifts of music and singing and all those things, you can clearly see them. So what do? You get them to look at or see God for themselves and say, which part, where are you taking me? What path is it I'm on? And what is it that you want from me? And let him decide. And then what you're also doing is getting them to develop their relationship with God.
So you think the child should ask for themselves? I mean, because like you said, from an early age, you can see, I mean, maybe, for example, with Ira, you could see he was into sports.
Yes.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe he was also into something else.
Well,
At what age do you allow them to begin to make that judgment for themselves? Because you know, children keep change. They
yes.
change. I mean, one minute you think, oh, this one is definitely going to love veterinary medicine, and then tomorrow they hate animals with a passion. So
Yeah, but you see, for me, if I look back now, Ira Junior has been playing football from the age of 4.5.
okay,
That was purpose. That was intentional. From the age of 4.5, he's 24 and he's still playing football. He has invested time in that. But not only has he invested time in football, he's actually invested time at school. He was an entrepreneur. He used to buy and sell things to the. So there was also different things, which he's got PC London. So from a very early age, he was actually walking in some of the gifts and abilities that he had. And what I'm saying is, being my older self, and I said this to one of my colleagues 4 months ago when we sat to lunch, talking about 5 children, I think, 5 children that she's got. One of them was struggling doing his A-levels.
right.
She said he's absolutely struggling, Bev, doing A-levels. I said to her, and she said, but he loves the music, you know. I said, so why didn't he enroll in the music college and do music? And she said, oh, I didn't know there was. So gave her that information, but it got him on the courses, but he went a different route. But he's actually going to go and do his music now because the A-levels, he's no good at A-levels. He's going to do the music in September. So, and I said to her, that was one of the older boys. And she started to tell me about some of the younger ones. And I said, get them into doing it now. Because when you get them into doing what their passion is, then some people make it clear from a very early age what they love doing and want to do. So if you're blessed enough to have your child say, this is what I want to be, then you can guide them in that way.
Okay.
That's what I truly believe. Because if you think about it, if you invest when they're really young, if you look at the Chinese, piano, gymnast, all this from the age of 2. Great experts in their fields, because they've sown all that time into an area which they believe they want to be in.
So you're not one for all the traditional, oh, you've got to be a professional or you've got to be, it's really about the child's gifting. Although, like, you know, Mary said, children making decisions for themselves doesn't replace the guidance of the parents, which is true. I mean, a child might decide, oh, I want to be an acrobat. That doesn't mean you have to take them to school.
We're there. We are custodians of the children that God has given us to look after. And we're there as wisdom, looking at wisdom again, to give them the knowledge, the understanding to do what they need to do. So as they grow in different ages, you know, remember, if you're guiding somebody, once they know what they're doing, you step back. You step back. Just like in leadership and management, when you're giving somebody something new to do, you've got to guide them through the stages. When they're ready and understand everything that you're doing, you let them go. But if you bring something new in, you've got to start the process again. So therefore, that's what you have to do with children. You guide them. We're there to instruct. The Bible says, train the children up. So what does training mean? Training means you've got to do some work, develop them to being the people and the person that God has called them to be. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Amazing. And I think we're going to get some leadership training out of this. This is amazing.
Oh, yeah, I've got some more for you.
Lay it on me, lay it on me.
Yes,
No,
I've
it's
got
amazing. It's amazing that sometimes the parallels that we use professionally, you find out that actually in the family, in building up our children, you can actually just use the same kind of knowledge. We always think that, we've got to separate everything, but wisdom is wisdom, isn't this?
Wisdom is wisdom. And I was doing a study about 3 months ago because somebody asked me to do a talk on parenting, wisdom on parenting.
Nice.
And I remember when I was a manager and did my leadership training, there was this thing called PAC. I don't know if you've heard of it, Parent, Adult, Child in Leadership.
Oh, right. I haven't heard that. I should.
Right. Well, in leadership, there's something that they talk about being as a manager, you're actually parenting.
Right.
Yeah. So you act like a parent, but you actually could be as a parent, you actually could be managing an adult because it's parent, adult, child. As a manager, you've got to be careful that you don't treat the adult person as a child because you're the manager.
All right.
Do you understand that? And likewise, when you're a manager speaking to an adult, you're speaking adult to adult. And so it's just about, so flip that now, and I've called it the process of, because, obviously I wrote the book on what is a man, and I loved the roll call. So I've changed that PAC to being, we're first a child, then an adult, then we become parents. So as parents with adult children, we shouldn't be treating our adult children as yes, they're your child, but speak to them as an adult. Not as that's my child, but also some of the things when a parent or a manager is speaking to someone, if they've had any negative impacts in their lives as a child, that could come up in the way they communicate and connect with the manager or the parent. Do you see? So we've got to be very careful when dealing with children and adults.
And everybody.
Don't forget, we're all somebody's child.
Yes.
We're still somebody's child. Because I know sometimes when I speak to my dad, I think I'm still a child. No, you're not a child. You're an adult. Talking to an adult. So it's about us just adjusting and amending ourselves really to those roles and understanding them.
Excellent. I'm sure everyone is listening and they're like, wow, I never thought about that before, because sometimes, we leave work or we leave what we do professionally or career-wise, and you just take off that complete hat and then you go home and you want to start all over again to try and find the wisdom. But they're kind of like interchangeable in the sense that, when we talk about transferable skills.
That's right.
Exactly. You can transfer the skills you've learned professionally into some amazing. I'm sure the professionals and the moms and everyone's like, oh, I never thought of that, and that is brilliant. So we're going to come to home a little bit and just think, what do you think? Can we allow our children to criticize us? Can we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with our children?
I think it's important that we are vulnerable with our children. It's just probably to what level you're vulnerable. And I know sometimes when things have happened to you in your past, or you made a mistake, you could actually use that mistake to give some learning to your child. Well, you know, when I was 20 or whatever, this is what I did, and it was one of the biggest mistakes of my life.
Right.
So if you give somebody that experience and that information, they choose then whether or not they would follow that same path as you. So what we should be doing is the children should be learning from our mistakes, and we can learn from other people's mistakes or things that people haven't done right. We can learn from anybody. And I think criticizing, or actually, is it feedback or is it criticizing? Whatever it is, do we allow our children to actually say, actually, what you're doing isn't right, or what you're doing is wrong? And I think some of it comes from the place of, does it come with respect and honor? Because if you look at, you know, in Job, where is it Elihu?
Elihu, yes.
Well, he came with honor, respect, and he got what his point across, and he gave them reasons. So if you're coming with that respect and that honor, and it's actually to improve the individual, then as parents, we should, because we don't know everything. We don't.
No.
Like, I certainly don't know everything, and we're not perfect. So I think there is room for us to definitely to be vulnerable, but also to learn, help our children learn from what we did that we think we could have done a lot better.
Right. I like what Mira said. No one is above correction, but definitely the heart behind it is key. And BC says parents need to apologize to their kids in some situations. Mm-hmm.
I agree. I've apologized to mine for some of my behaviours, or for some of the things that I think I didn't do right.
Right.
Yeah,
that's very good.
I said I'm sorry.
That's helpful. But sometimes now, when I asked one of the other moms this question about being vulnerable to the kids, some of the opinions were like, I'm not going to do that. Some were like, well, it depends on the age of the child.
Yeah.
And another person was like, there was the issue of, can they use them? Would we be comfortable, or will be concerned about, you know, being vulnerable to your child and then your child coming and using it against you?
I think you've got to use wisdom with some of the level of vulnerability you share with your children, because it's not everything that you've been through that you would actually disclose to your children.
Of course. Yeah.
I think you definitely need to be wise with sharing some of those things, but I definitely think you should share some of the things that you can do, because it just opens you up a little bit for them to think, wow, I didn't really know, now I understand. So it could bring some sort of understanding to the child, because, you know, you might behave in a certain way, but then they have some understanding as to now why you were like that. For example, if you were bullied when you were at school, and so you're now just a little bit withdrawn or whatever, you could share that with them, and you could share them the process that you went through to get through it, and so that they can look out for that as well in their environments, what to look out for if somebody tries to do that to them. So I think some things you do need to share, but I do understand that it's not everything that you can share with children at whatever age. You do need to have wisdom for that. Definitely.
Of course. And like this is said, yeah, it has to be kind of like age appropriate. And there are just some things that they don't need to know. They're just some things that, you know, they don't need to know. And what do you think about these things where there are two schools of thought about this? Some people say your child should be your friend, and some people say, no, my child is not my friend. My child is my child. My child is not my friend.
That's interesting, because I believe you do need to develop some sort of a relationship where you've got a safe environment for the child. So I'm not saying you should be friend and friend, because there's been a friend and there's been friend and friend, isn't there? I think you do need to develop a good rapport with your children, because then if you're open, whatever their issues are, they will come to you. Whereas if you're my child, you're this, they may not feel they could come to you with any given situation. So I think you need to have that sort of build that relationship and have rapport. I would call it rapport.
Not friend. Maybe relationship.
Relationship. Yes.
You have to have a relationship, not so much strictly as parent and child, but there's a relationship where, you know, no matter what they're going through,
yes, they know they can go.
They can come to you.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's one of the foundations that in families should be created, because as we said at the start, in schools now, kids are being taught all sorts of things, but actually I believe that all should be taught in the home. There are so many things that's going on, actually, that if we would just teach that or give the information to the children within the home, so when they go outside, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's not new or fresh. They actually, oh yeah, I understand that. I've been given the information appropriate to where I'm at in life. Because remember, not teenagers are from 13 to, well, wherever you want to take them. The kids, because the kids are always going to be your kids. So you have to, I think you've got to do that, create that environment for the children to be able to come to you, but also we've got to give the information that we believe the children need for the appropriate stage they are at in life.
Okay. And there is something that a lot of young people talked about whenever we have the young people sessions. And it's something, you know, I keep coming back and I keep asking them why. And then I ask the moms why as well. When our children, especially the young adults, maybe they are about the 16, 17-year-olds, right through to maybe about 22, when they have issues and situations, the last people they go to are the parents. We will talk about it with our peers and all that, and it's as if it's when they're in a right pickle that they're finally like, look, it's either my parents or the police, you know. And then they come, and I kept asking why, you know, when you're in such situations, why do you think young people, and I don't know if this applies to you, why do you think they don't talk to parents? They don't talk to the moms?
Well, I think we touched on it slightly in the last question. The environment may not be safe for you to be totally open and honest about your issues or your thoughts or what's going on with you. So that's why I was starting to talk about creating an environment where your children feel they could come and tell you whatever.
Okay.
So if they haven't got that, we know at TNT there's a range of counsellors and all those sorts of things, isn't there, in TNT? So children will always go somewhere to talk to people, won't they? Because they're at school. Even at school, they're sharing.
Yeah.
At school, they're sharing with their peers. If they go to church, they'll be sharing with their peers. And that could be positive, because if they're going through something and they share it with a peer that is mature and has good understanding and revelation of the word, they're going to point them in the right direction. So they can help them understand and deal with their issues. But really, first and foremost, the first place they should go, if possible, is to their families, to their parents.
Well, we have that duty to create that environment.
It's up to us to create it. Yeah.
Yeah, like Kem said, that's my sister. Build a relationship that makes them comfortable enough to share those things with you. You said
Yes.
the same thing. It's got
Yes.
to be it's about us building it.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, it is about us. Now, what do you think about parents seeking counsel from other parents? Do you think parents should talk to each other, or do you think, look, our children are different. You mind your kids, I'll mind mine.
Um, I think that people who are like-minded are drawn to each other anyway. And you
Okay.
know, the Bible talks about iron sharpening iron. And just because, if, for example, if I've got kids that are at a stage where mine haven't yet reached, I can learn from somebody who's already been there how to better do, to work and train my children. So I think a lot of it is about like-minded people coming together, iron sharpening iron. Um, Sometimes it's about us swallowing our pride and saying, you know what, I haven't a clue in this area,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
seeking godly counsel or counsel from somebody who who can help you and actually help you through the situation, really.
Okay. So it's okay to. It's just you just. So you just got to be careful who you who you're talking to, really.
I think so. I think you've got to, it's got to be. Well, I mean, you wouldn't just go on the you wouldn't just go out the street and speak to Joe Blogs and say, "Oh, Joe Blogs, my kid is A, B, C, D, E." You wouldn't do that. You would only, just like children, they just like we're saying, as parents, we've got to create a safe environment for them. As parents, we're going to be looking for a safe environment to be able to share any issues that we have or any help and support that we want from other people.
Mm,
So you're probably only going to do that with somebody who you're in relationship with.
of course.
That's
Of course.
that, yeah. And of course, in churches there's counsellors and there's a multitude of people that you could discuss things with. You know,
Yeah.
youth pastors and all. You could discuss things about even if you do it as a scenario. What would you do if you had this particular scenario? So there is. I think there's a lot out there, and plus, don't forget you've also got the word to go to.
Yes.
Proverbs is clear about how to raise your children, discipline, all that sort of thing. This wisdom in Proverbs and in other places in the Bible for us to go to.
To go to.
Yeah.
So seek counsel as a parent. Don't feel as if you need to know it all.
Yeah, because we don't we
Counsel.
don't we don't all know it all, and you might come up with a situation that you haven't got the clue of how to deal with it. So
Yeah.
I think you can do that if that's what you want to do, because some people just wouldn't do that. So then if they're not going to do that, they do need to have some other avenue where they're getting advice and guidance, whether it be going to the word or whether to go to the pastor and have a one-to-one scenario, put a scenario to them and get some direction on how to deal with a situation.
Right. Okay. Well, that's helpful because sometimes, some moms feel I don't want to discuss my kids with anybody,
Hmm.
and they're going through these tough situations, and they're like, I mean, it's my problem or it's my cross. I gotta carry it. But
Mm.
really, there's no shame and there's no issue with
With sharing, but you do need to,
yeah, I'm
yes,
finding help
yes,
because it's not about you. It's not about you being judged that you're a good or bad parent. It's about
yes,
making sure the child is okay.
that's right, that's
So
right.
do whatever you need to do. Take off, like you said, be humble and take off the pride and find out, I know
Yes.
Kev said even with pastors, you still have to consider that pastor's mindset. I get you.
Well, yeah, but again, like I said, like-minded people, if you've built a relationship with them, you will know. If you
Yes,
have no relationship with them, you will not be disclosing anything.
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah, whoever they are.
yeah.
Of course. Thanks. Now I'm going to ask the question which I always ask, moms and all
Mm.
that. As a mom, And you've got that wealth of knowledge over a couple of decades. Wow. Oh, wow. It's one of my super moms. What is one thing as a mom, if you could get all my young people together in
Yeah.
one room, and I was like, Beverly, tell them something.
Yeah.
What is one thing you would love to tell young people at this time?
Well, it will be a sentence of things.
Yes.
Put God first,
Yeah.
and let him lead and guide you. Number 2, honor and respect your parents. Follow your dreams until you achieve them.
Yes. I'm going to repeat those for you young people on here and for moms who want something to stick on their walls. So, God first.
Yeah.
In everything. Honor your parents.
Yes.
Follow your dreams.
Yes.
And is this kind of like something that you've also used with your children? Because I see them doing some really awesome things.
I always want them to achieve, I want them to be the best that God's called them to be. Okay. And to do everything that he has set for them to do, and do it to the best of their ability. So don't just do something for the sake of it. Do something that you're called or purposed to do, and put everything into that and be the best at that.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, well, no matter what, it's about them. It's about you guide, but they are the ones that have to do, and you've got to allow them to do.
Yeah. And we're there, and we're there to make sure we steer them on the path until they're able. Then we're able to be able to.
We've got to be able to take our hands off at some point and say, "You got this."
That's right.
Thank you. All right, now let's flip a bit. What would you say to the moms? And I've got a couple of moms on there. In fact, I've got my aunt on there all the way from Lagos. Wow. I've got my cousin. Yeah, she's always there. Staduke, I love you. Yeah, she always joins us. That's my dad's sister. I've got my big sisters.
Well, I've got one word. I've got one word for moms.
For moms, yes.
Wisdom, and I'm going to give you the words that go with it. The W is our words are powerful. The I,
have we got notebooks?
I'll send it to you. The I is instruct your children, because the Bible tells us to train them the way that they should go, and when they grow old, they won't depart from it.
Yeah.
The S, sacrifice. Now that's one that not many of us want to hear. Sacrifice. The D would be discipline. And I know a lot of us think of discipline negatively because we think of beatings, but discipline is about instructing, giving information, guiding. That's what discipline is all around. O is create order. And then the M is to create as many memories and moments in your child's life.
Wow. Oh my gosh. How many of us just loved that? How many loved that? So let me tell me a little bit about the O, order.
Order. In life, God is a God of order. And everything that we do should be in order. So as moms, let us create order in our houses, in our homes. And so when everything is ordered, everything will just flow. Okay. Everything will just flow around.
Ah, I love that. I think I'm gonna put that on my wall somewhere, and I can see that. I mean, wisdom. That's the word.
Yeah, and the scripture that I'd leave for the moms is Proverbs 1, where it talks about knowledge and understanding, and the child everybody should read that and study that for a month and put that in place, and then sit with the children with that chapter, verse 1. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Yeah.
Amazing. You've got to send that acronym to me, because I'm sure I'm sure a lot of us are gonna like something like Oti said, I'm never gonna look at the word wisdom the same way again. I don't think any of us is gonna look at it. We're gonna look at the word wisdom ever again. And that's amazing. And then we're also so we've all got assignments, people. We all have to go and study study Proverbs chapter 1. That is so amazing. I mean, I don't know what else I have to say, but I mean, you've given us something for the young people. Given us something, for us as moms. Walking in wisdom. Now, one thing I noticed, and I know this is kind of like a moot point or moot question, is that, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What part does your faith play in your role as a mom? I've seen it, it's loaded, it's scattered through everything you've said, but I'm just going to say it in a nutshell, because
I think
sometimes, people talk about moms and everything you're doing is just, okay, I go to church and pray, but what part does your faith?
I think as moms, because you can get busy doing a lot of things. With our faith, I think in every moment you could be thinking of the word or the scripture or something, or if the kids are driving, Godspeed, God, drive safely, cover them. Everything that you do throughout the day really is around your faith. And I think a lot of us have been brought up in church, but I don't think that's the most important thing. I think the most important thing for us with our faith is our individual relationship with God. So I can go to church all I like, but if I'm not having a relationship with God, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So it's intrinsic in everything we do. You could be just washing the dishes and you could be singing a song and praising, and what you could be just, it should be part of our being. That's what our faith should be. Part of our being. Yeah. They say that we should be the only Bible anybody reads. Well, what's our Bible looking like? and what
do they want to read us? Do they even want to read us, or do they look at it and like, this is the kind of life?
I'm not saying we're perfect and every day you've got to pray 10,000 hours and read 10,000 scriptures. That's not what it's about. It's about your relationship with God and developing that relationship and reading the word and actually walking it out as a real life example to people.
Yes. I don't know what else to say, because I think I'm just really, really blown over by, the amount of wisdom you've shared with us, Beverly. It's just been amazing. It's just been amazing. And I know that everyone that has listened to you talk are like, you know what, can you bring her back again next week? I'm sure there's, they could think of. God, it took me a while, people, to get Beverly, because she's a busy woman. I just want to say thank you. We're virtually coming up to the hour, and I can't believe it's gone already.
It's gone really quickly.
It's really gone really quickly.
But one thing I would say, one thing I would say before I go, it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I realized that actually being able to birth children and have children was that important. And I think a lot of us take it for granted, because some of us don't come into contact with people who are actually really yearning and desperate to have a child, but yet still we're walking out there with all these children and it's like nothing. But so that's why we've got to take a step back and look. It's a privilege and honor to be able to give birth to children. God's, he's picked you up and enabled you to do that. So when he's done that, you need to take care of those children.
Of course, it is a definite, I recognize that it is a definite privilege to have children. And I salute all the moms, that are willing to do the wisdom acronym that you said, and I know I've seen the sacrifice, for example, that you make. I'm sure if they could record the miles on your car, I'm sure you've driven around the world a couple of times.
Wow. Yes. But you've got to do it. And I don't think people don't actually see that side of things.
Yes.
When we talked about Ira, for
Yes.
7 years, I sacrificed church to take Ira to football. Yeah. For 7 years. And people don't see that. But you've got to do those things. How many of us will do that? Oh, they'll say, well, no, because a lot of people do not actually take their children to football or choir practice, rehearsals, anywhere.
Oh, yeah. We did those rehearsals together, didn't we?
No, but you see, and it's important that you actually get them to where they need to get to and on time. We've got to do all of that because what you're doing is you're nurturing that gift that God's given you. The gifts and abilities are being nurtured, and you've got to help them by sacrificing what you wanted to do to help them do what they needed to do.
And it's worth it, isn't it, Beverly?
Worth it.
It is worth it. Because every time you look at Ira, you look at Ali, you look at Mia, there's a smile on your face. You're not like, oh my gosh, why? And even when I look at them, I've got a smile on my face as well. Yes. Because not even being the moms to this team, to these young people, when I see them and I see the great things they're doing and I get them on my platform and I talk to them, I'm just blown away. Like I tell people ask me, who are your heroes? I tell them those are my heroes. Because if they can get through that period and then they begin to achieve and they begin to do what you're like, all the driving and all the sacrificing and all the, giving up to give to them is so worth it. It's so worth it. So let's keep going. Don't stop the interview. Oh, we're gonna stop it. I'm sure. Beverly. Another thing I should tell you guys is Beverly is a wonderful cook. She makes this amazing stew. Beverly's been a while. Hook a sister up. Come on. She makes an amazing stew. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. Even my heart is full right now with all the wisdom. I hope I get to use them someday, but I'll use them with the kids I've got now, running after them. And it's been amazing. Yes. I'm sure everyone has had a wonderful time learning from you. And I know everybody's going to think wisdom now with our kids.
Yeah, thank you very much for the honor and privilege to be able to come on your platform.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And I hope, this is not one day, let me give you a secret. One day I'm going to do the children and the mothers things where I'm going to put the mother, because now you can have a couple of people at the same time. Right. So I'm going to put a mom and a son, a mom and a daughter, and we're just all going to have a lot of fun learning. That's my desire, that we all learn, we all get better at doing this wonderful privilege that you said that God's given us of being moms, of being young people, of being alive.
That's right.
I know that. Thank you everyone for joining us. That's about it. This has been Beverly Jackson, a woman of wisdom. Everyone is going to write the acronym on their walls now and teach it to their kids. Thank you. God bless you. My very best regard to the General.
Yes.
For releasing you, and to Ali, Ira, and Mia. I miss them so much because even being part of those parts of their lives has been amazing.
Yes.
So if I feel this amount of pride, I'm sure your heart is overflowing.
Exactly. Yes.
So thank you very much, Beverly.
You.
Have a lovely rest of the day. Bye for now. God bless you. Thank you, everyone, for having joined us. And this has been episode 6. I'm sure you all had a lovely time. We'll be taking a break in August, but we'll be back again in September. I can see some moms I'm going to have to hook up as well on this program, but thank you so much. I hope you all had a wonderful time, and I hope we're all going to go back and think about wisdom. I might post it, the acronym, which is the word instruct, sacrifice, You know, I can't remember what the D is. I think we all remember what I know. Oh yeah, D is discipline. O is order, and M, create the memories. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a lovely rest of the day. Like I said, we won't be on in August because I'm sure everybody's going to have a wonderful summer. And then we'll be back again in September where we'll be talking to another wonderful. Thank you, Aunty, D for discipline. Well, we're going to be having another wonderful mom, Sister Buki, and everybody else. Thanks, Timmy. You're just joining, but it's okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely summer. Have a lovely rest of the day. Please stay safe. God bless us, everyone. And to the moms, thank you for being awesome moms. Thank you for taking care of the young people. God bless you and see you in September. Bye for now. Bye.